He goes by the name of GorgeousDre, Dre Taylor. My brother, this is your Kodak moment. Oh my goodness. Listen, Dre Taylor, and I don't like to just throw people under the bus, but let's give him his flowers. If there's any flowers to be given, they're probably going to be dandelions, but popular program and has a good following on YouTube as well. Come on, we're getting out of the old, we're getting out into the new. Okay, here we go. He's a musician, he's an educator, and he's an activist. And he has a long list of things that he does. He calls himself the czar, the street, whatever. He's an ex-pimp, right? Everybody's got a past. Come on now, we're not going to throw old Dre under the bus for that. He's an ex-pimp. Apparently married. He's apparently taken a righteous road to his presentations. And good old Gorgeous Dre, that's what he calls himself now. It's a grown man calling himself Gorgeous Dre, right? Sound maybe his pimp name, maybe he kept the pimp name because he just wanted to keep the same. He wanted to keep the same branding. Do pimps do that now? They do branding? I don't know. But Dre Taylor caught my attention for not any of those reasons. He caught my attention because Dre Taylor is essentially an anti-male advocate. That's me now throwing a label on you, Dre. Gorgeous Dre. I don't know what you want me to call you. We'll talk about it. But this was one of his quotes. He says, I might say it more eloquent than Dre said it, but his issue is that black men, or the black male, is the only race of men who blame their women publicly for their issues. This, of course, is the pirating of the true consensus, understanding, and statistical knowledge that the black woman is the only ethnic female population that speak disparagingly, publicly, about the men of their demographic and ethnicity. This is a known fact. This is known to be true. And the reason we know these things to be true is because there would not be a Kevin Samuel if that sentence wasn't true. Of course, Gorgeous Dre has no time and no interest and puts no cachet on the positions of Kevin Samuel. And many of y'all don't, females don't, because Kevin Samuel, although he was educating the females, he was really here for the men. And so therefore, Gorgeous Dre is pimping again. But he's not pimping in the way that he used to. He is selling a message to women, telling women, hold on, sweetheart, I'm going to go out here in the woodshed and take all these men out here and let them know they're not man enough. And they shouldn't blame y'all for anything, that they should be men. One of the things that he utilizes is the biblical account of Adam when Adam sinned. Adam sinned, and if you know the Bible very well, Eve transgressed, but Adam sinned. What does that mean? Essentially, we know the story. Eve was the one who had consultation and had a debate and discourse with that old serpent, Satan, and she ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, saw that it was a tree to be desired, a tree to make one wise, and she took of it and ate and gave it to her husband who was with her. To Dre's credit, he says, Adam, when confronted with the issue of the tree from God, said he blamed the woman. Contextually, it sounds like Dre was accurate. But Dre, let me give you a little advice from a biblical scholar such as myself. I've got muscles, but guess what? My brain got muscles too. Because Dre, it's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to be stupid and wrong at the same time, my brother. Adam did not blame Eve. If you look truly at the contextualization of what Adam was saying, Adam didn't blame Eve, he blamed God. He said, the woman that thou gavest to me, gave to me, and I ate. He wasn't blaming Eve. If he was blaming Eve, he would have said, yep, the woman did it. Didn't say that. He said, the woman that you gave to me, gave it to me, and I ate. He blamed God. He was actually blaming God. That's what he was actually doing. And so, let's get to the conversation. The conversation is, and this is the question, this is the thesis moment, this is the place where I have to put you in your place, because this is a beef. This ain't Kendrick, and this ain't Drake. Although I'll represent the 416, and you can take the other side if you want to, but this is the place. The thesis statement of the moment is the female able to be held, I don't like to use the same word I was going to say culpable, but is this female meant to be held accountable for her part in the breaking of the black family? Let me say it again for the folks in the back. And so Dre, you can write this down, because I don't know how much schooling you went to. I know you're from the streets, and that doesn't mean you're unintelligent. So maybe you're hard of hearing, but I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. Is it appropriate for black men to hold the woman accountable for the deterioration of the black family in this generation? That is the key. The key is this generation. Dre, this is my point of order, my brother. Okay? You got about 77,000 followers on Instagram. You got a lot of women eating it up because you're pimping. You're selling a product, but you're pimping again. You're pimping the minds of women to believe that the version of male masculinity that you're selling is actually true, and it's not actually true, because accountability of the woman is something that is always the man's job. It's always the man's job. It is always the man's job to hold his family accountable. It was Adam's job, he didn't do it. It's your job and it's my job. And accountability, of course, it starts with us first. But when in this generation, you are now placed in a position where the black male has been systematically put in a position to reduce his authority, to reduce his earning potential, to mar his image, and to separate him from his true place as the head of the black family, and the weapon that was used to do all four, Dre, has been the black woman. Unbeknownst to her sometimes, but definitely in this generation, the black woman, with institutions like the Family Law Act, with institutions like the changing of legislation of policing, where police now, based on the accusation of a black woman, or any woman, but specifically targeted at our community, can charge you historically. A black woman can pick up the phone and say, my husband slapped me 10 years ago, and the police will still charge you without investigation. The black male has been put in a position where he now has to go to court with the deck stacked against him in any family law scenario. He is being told that he is not man enough, he is not husband enough, he's not authoritarian enough to have 50% access to his children. He is put in a deplorable position when the black woman destabilizes the household. And that has been done from the very beginning of colonization of the West African into North America, to make sure that the unification of the black family cannot happen. This is why any organization, whether right or wrong, any ideological organization that makes sure that they build the unity between the black man and the black woman is successful. This is why the Nation of Islam was successful. This is why the 1950s and 1960s for the black community was a very successful period, because when black families stay together, black people are stronger. Absolutely. When the black woman is not empowered to destroy her household by the inducements of the state, when the state says we will give you welfare if there's no man in the house, we'll give you free housing if there's no man in the house, we'll give you a state-sponsored education if you're a single mother, we'll give you food stamps if you're a single mother. When you entice singleness in the black community and tell black women that you can actually have a better financial result being separate from the black man than being together with the black man, and black women, beknownst to them or unbeknownst to them, bite at that fruit from the tree of evil, then you have a deplorable situation. And this is why the black community only in North America is like this. This is not something that is continental in Africa. This is something that is of this diaspora. This is why you have broken communities in the Caribbean. This is why you have broken ethnic black communities in South America, in North America, both Canada and the United States. When you are separate from actual statistical understanding of how, it's a big word for you, young fella, you might have to write this one down, when hegemony is used against black people to destabilize their families so they can destabilize their wealth, so they can destabilize their capacity to vote, so they can destabilize their power in a colonizer's world, then when you understand that, brother, you will never make the statements that you made. Because the statement that you made is ignorant. The statement that you made is fanning the flame of the mindset of the independent woman. There's no such thing as an independent black woman. There's no such thing as an independent black woman. There's no such thing as an independent black man. In fact, the black family is what should be preached, not the independence of any particular gender of the black community. Because when you have an independent black man, you still have a black child without a black mother in the house. When you have an independent black woman, you still have a black child without a black father in the house. And you still have children that fall, and generations that fall through the cracks. That's what you have. So you get up there on your pedestal with your pimp cup in your hand. You don't really have a pimp cup, but I wanted to use that analogy because you're the one who's saying that you're an ex-pimp. I don't know why anybody would claim that, but when you are saying on your pedestal with your pimp cup in your hand that, oh man, we need to hold these black men accountable, brother, you can't hold me and yourself even accountable to systematic racism that has been built from the infrastructure up to make sure that your woman can look at you and say, he's not necessary. How can you build a mind that is seeing the images on television, the images in movies, the images in even if you go to institutions where you say, how come there's no black men working here? Schools, high schools, colleges, how come there's no black men working here? When you have it where black women are comfortable breaking up and living without fathers in the house, and young black girls and boys are saying, well, I guess daddy is optional. When you have that type of environment in North America, the words that you have said are reckless. And you should be held accountable for your words. And you should be called out for your words, especially when you are inspiring a bunch of Negroes to sit on your page and to defend you when you should be defending your doggone self. You're simping, and you're simping in a fabulous way, my brother. Because if you're going to allow this generation of women who are out of pocket, black women who have gone to the radical feminist far left, who have said that they're allies, black women are saying that they're allies, and other women too, that their allies are gay men, that gay men are more of an ally to black women than the actual heterosexual man who's looking to marry them? Come on. We've gone too far, bro. We've gone too far, gorgeous. Gorgeous, Dre. What in the hell you calling yourself gorgeous for? How you gonna be taken seriously when you can be calling yourself gorgeous, Dre? Dre Taylor should simply be Dre Taylor. I think you should go and change that name. Because what you're doing is you're glorifying the street life that was given to you, because the prostitution of the black woman should be nothing that you actually revel in. Gorgeous George, gorgeous Aunt Dre. Gorgeous George was a wrestler. Actually, he was a great wrestler back in the 80s. But this is something that you should abandon. You should be ashamed of that. You should say, listen, I'm not proud of this, but this is what I used to do. They used to call me this, but I don't call myself that anymore. I call myself Dre Taylor. Andre Taylor. All these shortcuts. Andre Taylor is my name. All right, Andre Taylor, let's have a real conversation. You want to go head to head now? Now you've heard it. Now you've understood the beef. Okay? Now you've heard the bars. Now you can come back. Now you've heard the statistics. Now you've heard the historical information of how colonization, slavery, and the concept of white supremacy has created a new black woman. You've heard that. You've heard it from me. And now you understand it. But this is what I need you to understand most of all. There is no such thing as the battle of the sexes anymore. The battle of the sexes in the black community needs to stop. The battle should be for unity. The battle should be for the unified black family. That's what the battle should be for. The unified black family. You are building a product that still breaks us because you're empowering a narcissistic female who has no control of her emotions to feel like, I'm correct. I'm right. You see, it was never my fault. It's not my fault. Young lady, we have the authority. So the sin does belong to us, but the transgression still belongs to Eve. You are still having conversations with devils, and you are eating the fruit of things you don't need to eat. And this is the proverbial same problem that we have today, that I've got to get up here and talk to a black man who has been building himself up, trying to get a platform. But you know what your platform is built on? Your platform is built on error. Your platform is built on building up the pride of women to feel that they are not culpable in wicked behavior. Oh my goodness. You know what? One of the things that shakes my mind all the time is when I find black women who have had broken relationships with their men, and they say this to me, and I give these women so much credit. You know, we broke up, but I've never taken that man to court. I've never taken him to court. You know, if he takes care of his kid, if he doesn't take care of his kid, I don't take him to court. Now, some of y'all think, oh yeah, well, these men need to be held accountable. No, my love, you opened your legs for him. You need to be held accountable. You need to create an open door to make sure that that man that you laid down with and decided to be the father of your children is not put in any position where he does not have access to those kids. Because when your relationship breaks up, it does not turn into a financial windfall for your eyelashes and your new haircuts for this man to pay you money. A good man will always take care of his kids. And did you not lie down with a good man? Was he not a good man at the time? A good man who you give access to those children. And I'll tell you right now, statistics don't lie right now. They're not lying. Men are predisposed. I don't care what their demographic is. I don't care if they come out of jail. I don't care if they're criminals. They are predisposed to have access and to raise their children, because there was a generation of us that had no access to fathers, and we know it. We remember it. And so therefore, we are predisposed to say, no, man, I want to raise my kids. I want to coach my kids. I want to go to my daughter's recitals. I want to go to parent-teacher interviews. I'm interested in my children. But you're using the incarceration of family court. You're using the solicitation of lawyers to embezzle money out of the future of your children. So you can do what? So you can do what exactly? So you can entertain another man and razzle dazzle yourself as some type of victim? No. I love when I hear black women say, you know what? I've left an open door for this man. He can come see his kids anytime. I don't make any fuss. Anytime he wants to see these children, he can see these children. I don't make a fuss whatsoever. They're not creating false cases to keep these men away. And they're able to separate themselves from the responsibility of being a co-parent. I hear people invented. I heard people invent. I say people because I'm trying to protect the guilty. People invented parallel parenting. Parallel parenting is when me and him don't talk. I let him parent, no, man. Parenting is a conjoined sport where two people have to have a conversation and be able to put their pride aside and to build what is good for those kids. Period. And if the new guy comes around, or if the new woman comes around, the mentality is, I am going to take a back seat to making sure that the unit that put these children in the world still remains a unit. That's why many times you need to leave people's family alone. You need to step back and say, you know what, girl, you look good, but I see there's an active man here still trying to build a life with you and his children. I'm going to give that a chance. And yes, sometimes it's over, sometimes it's shot, sometimes it's done. And sometimes God introduces people to give them a recycled opportunity. But for the most part, my experience is that people bail out of relationships and they're looking for a messiah of the next person to save them, to fall in love with some new person while they really didn't give the old situation a chance. That's what I've seen. Many, most times. That's what I've seen. Or we see individuals that are broken up but still have strange connections to their ex while they're still trying to build future with new people. That's bizarre. That's really bizarre. I know a lot of women doing that too. But going back to Gorgeous George, Gorgeous Dre, your statement is wrong. This generation of empowered women who are making more money than they've ever made before, women who are going further in education than they've ever made before, women who are setting records for building businesses more than they've ever been before, and women who have more legislation in their favor than has ever been in history, have an increased responsibility to make sure that they are very accountable for how they behave in respect to the black family. Because when you are given more power, more autonomy, more ability to break and to still be good, oh man, that's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing. You're telling me that I can break up with him and I can still have all his money? Yep. I can still live in the house? Yep. I can still have the car? Yep. I can still have his pension? Yep. And I don't have to stay? Nope. That's a dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing. And that's why men don't want to get married. That's why men are not interested in getting married. That's why certain demographics of women are not getting married. Because if you have a demographic of women that has a high divorce rate, a high bailout rate, men are not jumping in there to say, hey, let's sign these chicks up. As beautiful and as supple as they are, we don't want to give away everything that we own because women have been brainwashed to believe that they have an entitlement to everything that is ours. No, I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be Kevin. May he rest in peace. I'm not trying to be Kevin, but I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to be sincere. And if you believe, boo-boo, that you're waiting for a guy to make $500,000 a year and take care of you, God bless you. You wait for him. You wait for him. I hope he lives 6 lifetimes, because that might be how long it takes him to show up. You wait for him. Don't let anybody tell you can't wait for him. You wait for him, girl. But I've seen too much. I've seen too many women decide that they want to date deplorable men simply because they make money. Men who are making their money in illegitimate ways. Men who you don't even want to walk the street with. You don't want anybody to see because you're not there for his looks. You're not there for his character. You're there for his wallet. Talked about our girl yesterday of Shawnee O'Neal, who told us point blank, I was not in love, but I was here for what the man could bring to my life. And we got too many Shawnee O'Neals. That generation of women need to be left on the sideline, need to be single, need to never be touched, need to never be hugged, need to never be called beautiful, because that generation should sit there and be a spinster for the rest of their lives. Because the opportunist who does not believe in the wholesomeness of black families should never be given the title of wife. And then you want to make them unaccountable when they go and they become wives and they break up the family unit because they never had the character, because they never had the intentionality to actually stay together. They never wanted to push through. Come on. When other races are doing it, other races are sticking together, staying together. If you want marriage, you better understand what marriage costs. Otherwise, don't desire it. Don't ask for what you cannot contain and maintain. And that's what we have now. We have a generation in our communities that are predominantly, the family unit is being broken up predominantly. It's not an absolute, but it's being predominantly, the initiation of separation is being done by black women. Ladies, how can you be the last women that men want to marry, the highest demographic of women that are unmarried, and also the highest demographic of women that are seeking to be divorced? And then how can you blame us? How can you blame the black man when the black woman that he decides to marry decides that she is not happy more times than him? You can't. You can't. You can't. And you can't say to him, well, you must have done something. Well, you must have made a conditions that she didn't like. Well, maybe you weren't giving that woman everything she wanted. That's not what marriage is about. That's not what the concept of marriage is about. That's a business relationship. That's a relationship between a pimp and his hoe. That's a relationship between a John and his prostitute. But that's not a marriage. And so you go and check out my boy. Go and check out my good friend, GorgeousDre. Now listen to some of the things that, Gorgeous, I'm gonna make you famous, bro. You got more followers than me, Gorgeous, but I'm gonna make you famous. Never come for me. You came for the wrong dude. Not today, any day, not on the 8th day of the week. Don't ever come for me. You are outmanned, outgunned, and you're 5'2". You're too short to ride on this ride, big fella. Too short. All right? This is a roller coaster, and you're gonna want to get off. Don't ever come for me on your social media. Have nothing to say. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is the real spiel. Let me look at this. Let me look at the comments, and let me go back here. Let me see if Dre made it out here. Hey Wendell, what did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K? I don't know, but it's probably a good joke. Tell us later. What do you think about Satanists? Well, we know that. Hello, brother. It does not matter what kind of strife occurred between a man and a woman. The child has the right to communication. That's right. That's right. And we've got way too many black families where black women are being given the power by the court you have restraining orders that you don't need. You have been given exorbitant amounts of money. You've been empowered to cause these men to have to continually come back to court just to see a child. Black men are giving up. Of course they're going to give up. You're going to give up. You're going to give up if you have to pay tens and thousands of dollars to see a child. You're going to give up. You're going to say, I'll wait till the kid grows up. He or she will have a relationship with me, but by then the damage is done. We're the only community that wants to separate ourselves from our children. We're the only community that does this. We want to isolate our children from the parents. No other community does it. And no other community is identified. The single black mother is an icon in the white community. Oh, is there a father in the house? Is there, if you go to that school, they say, oh, hi, Mrs. Johnson. We just like to know, is there a father in the house? And most black women are like, of course, we need men to have kids just like you. But they ask that question because there's a predisposition that when there's a problem at school with little Rakeem, there's no father in the house. Oh, there's no father in the house. Rakeem, do you know your dad? Because this has been a stigma that has been created not by us. Black men didn't create the stigma of single black women. We didn't create that stigma. We didn't create it. GorgeousDre, this has been your Kodak moment. We'll talk soon, brother. I'm sure we'll talk soon.